Hi class, welcome to Business 665, Managing Business Processes. By now I'm sure you've come to appreciate the importance of strategy to the success of organizations. However, you can have the best strategy, but if you do not implement the strategy with the best processes, you will not succeed. Look at Walmart. They achieved their everyday low cost by having the world's best supply chain processes. Look at Nordstrom. Their success hinges upon their customer service process excellence, and so forth. This is our first week, and of course it makes sense that we will start with an introduction to business process management. Here are this week's objectives. Just to review things, we have 4 major categories of assessments, which are shown in this slide. Please note that the case study analysis, which is worth 25%, actually has 2 components. 20% will go to of your total grade will go to the written report. The remaining 5% will be based on peer evaluations of your leadership and teamwork, as this is a team project. Also note that we use a plus-minus grade system for your final grade in the course. Here's definitions of a process and business process. Next, we turn to the issue of what is business process management. Here's one definition. The thing I really like about this is that it comes from Gartner, a well-respected IT consulting company. Here's another definition, and the thing I like about this is in the definition are the words define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. In Six Sigma, this is the acronym DMAIC, D-M-A-I-C, and we'll cover this in detail later in the course. So why is BPM so important today? Well, here are 3 reasons. Business operations are more complicated, enterprise mobility, and the impatient customer. This slide here covers the issue of complications in the business environment. Next, we look at enterprise mobility. And next, we look at the impatient customer. So where does process management fit in? Typical reference models have 5 levels: value chain, processes, sub-processes, procedures, and task detail for implementation. Processes look at what, workflow looks at how. So we're going to be operating on primarily in level 1 and level 2 in this course. But just to give you a perspective, this is what we mean by the value chain. And by now, since you've had a strategy course, I'm sure you've seen Michael Porter's value chain, and they're very familiar with that. So as I said before, process management happens in level 1 and level 2. Process management is not workflow, but in case you're interested in the definition of that, here it is. Workflow is at a lower level and much more detailed level than process management. It's certainly important, but we do not have the time for all this detail in this course. So here's a slide that looks at a process in general. Processes are a set of interrelated activities. They're initiated in response to a triggering event, and we accomplish the desired result. For example, Golf Galaxy gets a phone call or an online order from me for a new driver. Okay, this action triggers a sequence of events which make sure that the desired result, the right driver, gets to me undamaged at the right time. Events could also be triggered by time. There may be some type of activity that we do every month or at a particular time of the year, like doing our tax returns, or it might be based on a condition. Our inventory is low, so we initiate a reorder process. Here's an example of a particular business process. We follow the same things as before. We start with a trigger event, we have a sequence of activities, we end up with a countable result. In this example, a customer calls or emails to activate a telephone service. And as you can see, we end up with the installation work performed, but we make sure that the installation was done right by assuring service quality. So the name of the process is activate telephone service. This is what Yvonne Antonucci calls a verb noun. The result is a noun that is verbed. Telephone service is activated. Here are some characteristics of business processes. And every business process should have these characteristics. If there's no customer, obviously, why do it? If it's not value added, why do it? And so forth. Now we come to the issue of process versus function. Most of us have lived in a functionally organized world for a long time. We're certainly familiar with the functional silos in our organization. But processes, unlike the vertical functional silos, go horizontally, many times across functions. And this causes some confusion. We know who the director of sales is, who the director of production is, who's in charge of accounts receivable, and so forth. But do we know who's responsible for making sure that this process is operated correctly? If we're in a process-oriented organization, the answer is definitely yes. However, if we are in a classically organized functional organization, that might not be the case and problems may ensue. So you can see the root of the problem. We're used to functions, but we operate